Hi guys, today we're talking about our digital footprint. So I had to look up my name, and I went to Google, looked up Malin Garrett, and then Malin Michelle Garrett, and it basically all came up the same thing. Malin Garrett was the most popular one. It had my Instagram profile, my Huddle profile, my Twitter profile, my Crowder softball stats, and then I went to images, and it had my Instagram and Twitter posts, TikTok posts, Huddle pictures, and then pictures from the news, so like the Joplin Globe and things like that. Anything that had my name in it had brought my pictures into it. The next question was, are these results primarily personal, professional, or unrelated? It was mostly professional. A lot of it was athletics, and so I feel like that's professional in a way just because my future will be 50% athletics, and so I feel like pictures from me playing in high school and playing in college isn't that. It's personal, but it's professional. It's not inappropriate in any way. There's obviously some personal, like my TikToks, like obviously it's not inappropriate, but they're not professional. And there's only a few that were unrelated to me. Obviously there's other Malins and there's other Garretts, so there were a few things that weren't about me, but assess if this content aligns with the image you want to present as an educator. I would say yes, honestly. After looking, 90% of them were just from my athletics, like I said, which doesn't need to be a secret, like if my students end up looking me up and they'll see all my athletics, and so, that's who I was in high school, and I feel like that's very professional of me to be an athlete. So, if someone were to do a cursory search of you, what kind of person might they assume to be? I honestly, if I had someone look at me from outside perspective, I think they mostly see that I'd be, a hardworking athlete. I was in lots of news articles. I was in, lots of all my Huddle profile, which had all my basketball stats, and then obviously at Crowder, all my Crowder college stats. So, there's a few that, like, my Instagram profile obviously isn't all about athletics and stuff like that, but, yeah. Part 2, choose a social media account. So I went off my Instagram one just because I feel like that's the one I use the most, but then also the one that a lot of people use, for my age at least, and for, I feel like, students that I would be around. It says, are these privacy settings and or accounts aligned with the expectations of the ISTE standards? I feel like my accounts and privacy align with the ISTE standards, just because I feel like everything public is professional, as well as I only engage with positive, meaningful interactions. So basically, like, anything that I interact with, like, on Twitter, it may show up, but I feel like all of it is professional. So I feel like they do align with the ISTE standards. On part 3, are there any changes you might want to make to improve? I would just make sure all my accounts are private, and maybe just, like, remove any students that may be following me, just so I still have that professionalism when I become a teacher. But as of right now, just making sure my accounts are private as I'm getting into that teaching world. What changes, if any, will you make? I would just make sure everything that I post publicly is professional. That's what I really feel like the only one that's not professional that I've posted is TikTok, and it's not inappropriate. Like, I'm not embarrassed by any of it, but it's also not in a professional standpoint. It's about my daily life, so. And then, how will you manage your social media and online presence as a future educator? This goes back to the first one. Just making sure all my accounts are private, and then removing any students that may be following me just to keep the professional aspect as a teacher.